Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to hang out with me a little bit and watch the video. Really appreciate that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about the various forms of cheating and rule violations that are going on in tournaments right now, because in 2024, guys, there has been more shady stuff and rule violations and cheating going on than I have ever seen in all of my 50 years of fishing. So I think it needs to be talked about a little bit. And I obviously like to get your guys' opinion on it as well in today's video. Also, guys, real quick, just wanted to throw a little tip your way. If you guys like fishing bridge piers in the summer, which is one of my favorite ways to catch numbers of fish, guys, give this bait right here a try on bridge pilings. This is the Megabass Shading X75 finesse jerkbait. You reel this thing, down the side of a bridge pier, and guys, if there's a fish there, they are going to hit this thing. It looks like a little minnow. So if you guys are want to pick one up, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description and link the Shading X75 to that. But a really good bait around bridge piers there. Okay, guys, cheating has been around since bass tournaments started. And one of the things I want to sort of clarify here is in my opinion, there's a difference between cheating and breaking a rule. And there's so many different gradients to that, as far as what classifies just a pure cheating situation and a pure, just an oversight by one particular angler. Because we've seen it all this year. We've seen violations and rules out there where maybe, an angler throws back a dead fish that's got a cold tag in it that's going to sink to the bottom, which is blatant cheating. And then you'll have some more, innocent rule violation, like, accidentally, going through a no wake. Maybe you went through a no wake area that you didn't see a sign up there, and it was just an oversight on your part. So there's differences between that. There's what I consider malicious cheating, and then just simple oversight. So I want to talk a little bit about everything in between there. Now, first of all, let's talk about just like blatant cheating. Blatant cheating is where it goes beyond just an innocent rule violation. There's an intention behind it. There's some type of malicious behavior that you are trying to purposely break a rule to gain an advantage or do well or win a tournament. Obviously, last year, I think 2 years ago, when those guys got caught for stuffing lead weights and walleyes, and there was national attention. That is one far extreme of cheating. That's cheating as simple and pure as cheating can get. And then, like I said, you may have another rule violation where, let's say, for example, you're out there in the morning and you're all excited and you're getting everything ready for your boat, and it's the first day of tournament or whatever, and you forget to put your life jacket on. It's just a complete oversight. So, and then there's different stuff in there between. But one of the things that I have seen about this year is through my observations of the tournaments, and, there's a lot of, live feed on the tournaments. There's a lot of social media. There's a lot of photos that capture, different type of rule violations out there. In 2024, I don't think I've ever seen more rule violations and cheating that we've seen out there. We've seen like I don't want to call it, well, I guess you could call it a ledge, because the thing about it, when there's a rule violation or cheating, tournament directors have the discretion to handle it differently. So you can't label somebody a cheater based upon how the tournament director decides to, punish or not punish an individual out there. But we've seen a lot of sort of shady stuff going on this year. We've seen people fishing during the off limits. We've heard about people, soliciting and getting information after the off limits. We've seen people cutting down brush illegally and putting it in the lake. We've seen people snagging fish. We've seen people snagging fish, intentionally or not intentionally with forward-facing sonar. We've seen people fishing for bedding fish and not showing their marshals, that it was hooked inside the mouth, and that fish getting caught as being a legal fish. It just goes on and on and on. And one of the things about it is, here on my channel, I've got so many of my subscribers watch, different type of tournaments, and they send me this stuff all the time. They send me video clips of, hey, check this out. I can't believe this guy just broke this rule and they didn't do anything about it. I get this all the time. So what I want to talk about today specifically is the type of penalties and how tournament directors should address rule violations out there. Now, first of all, the rules that are set place in tournaments, a lot of them I don't agree with. I mean, there's stuff in there like, you know, you can't use a jet drive boat. So if you show up to a tournament with a jet drive boat and nobody catches the fact you're in a jet drive boat, you know, that's considered cheating or breaking a rule. Yet if you show up to a tournament if you want to put $200,000 worth of electronics on your boat, that's legal. Another form of cheating we talked about is legal cheating. You guys know that I consider using forward-facing sonar, I consider that legal cheating. And the reason I consider forward-facing sonar legal cheating, and I don't consider tournaments that get won with forward-facing sonar as legitimate wins, is the fact that you're not practicing fair chase. Every other sport out there, in terms of like hunting and fishing, they usually have some element of fair chase involved. For example, like Boone and Crockett, you know, the record scoring system they have, they don't consider, you know, records that are taken using technology and drones and, you know, different type of infrared stuff as fair chase. So they don't acknowledge or recognize, you know, techniques of hunting that are not more on a pure basic level as a legitimate record. So that's sort of how I classify that. So let's talk a little bit about the tournament directors here. The discretion that they have to, you know, disqualify or penalize or somebody like that. The first thing that we have to have on this, we have to have straight across the board where there's no favoritism, nepotism, whatever. It's like, I don't care if you're the most well-known, popular bass pro, if you're the most popular up-and-coming rookie or whatever, they should get the same treatment as some guy that is like maybe not well-liked and some old grizzled, you know, nobody out there that people wouldn't care about if they got disqualified. There shouldn't be any favoritism whatsoever. And I have seen that, guys. I have seen that over the past couple of years where you have some high-profile anglers that either get a slap on the wrist or they're not penalized for violations that would seemingly get penalized from other people out there. It's not just myself. This is feedback I get from a lot of different anglers. So that's one thing that has to be done. You have to have a straight, you know, playing field as far as your rule, you know, violations, what they are. But at the same time, the tournament directors, they have got to have discretion in order to, you know, accurately assess how they're going to penalize or not penalize for somebody. Here's one of the things, in my opinion, that do not need penalized in the fact that they take away any type of performance that an angler may have. Let's go back, for example, if you forget to put your kill switch on, or you forget to zip your life jacket up all the way. You know, some type of just an oversight, or maybe you idle, maybe there's a little no wake zone that's a 50-yard no wake zone, and there's an obscure sign, and you just didn't see the sign, and you went through that no wake zone a little bit too fast. These violations out there that are innocent and just oversights out there should never be penalized, or it takes away the potential of somebody to do well in a tournament. There shouldn't be like a weight penalty. There shouldn't be like a, you know, some type of a, you know, delay, you know, sacrifice 2 hours off their fishing time. It should be just some type of a financial penalty that is stiff enough to act as a deterrent with that. Now, I know that some people, depending upon their financial situations, that could be, you know, different. But at the same time, when they pay that financial penalty, it also should be acknowledged by the tournament organizations. There should be a press release. It should be up on the website that, hey, look, such and such angler violated the no wake zone. He was fined $1,000. So that goes on the record, the public record. But one of the things that we have seen with the tournament organizations over the past year is there's been a cloak of secrecy over a lot of it. There's been, you know, there's been fines and there's been penalties that were not made public. And I think if you make an accusation or if you make a penalty public, then again, that goes on the record, that sort of gets on the reputation of the angler like that, and it acts as a deterrent. I think that most rule violations need to follow under that. I don't think that the rule violations that are innocent and don't have anything to do with malicious intent, I do not think that they should be grounds for disqualification or any type of thing like that. I'll give you guys a prime example. I was one of the last FLW tournaments up at Lake Champlain. I was fishing up there. There's a rule, and this happened to me with tournament director Bill Taylor, who used his discretion on this. I was fishing a topwater plug up at Lake Champlain, and I can't remember, I was fishing like a Diamante, Dog X or something like that. And anyway, I threw it out there and I had a big smallmouth blow up on it. So anyway, I reeled my bait in real fast like that because I was going to throw out there with a wacky rig. And anyway, I reeled it in real fast like that, put the rod down, made a cast out there, and tried to catch that fish. Didn't think anything about it. I get back in to the tournament, the weigh-in that evening, and Bill Taylor, the tournament director, comes up to me and he goes, "Randy," he goes, "What, we got a problem. Your co-angler filed a complaint against you." And I go, "What are you talking about?" He said that, you made a cast to a fish over there, and you still had 2 rods in the water. And it's like, I got thinking about that. And what I did is when I reeled that bait in, I didn't take that bait out of the water. There was still some line on the water, and my bait was floating out there on the water after I didn't reel it in far enough. And Bill, since I wasn't doing any good in the tournament and it didn't make any difference at all, Bill decided not to penalize me for that rule violation. So that was a mistake on my part. I should have reeled that bait in further instead of leaving it out there, whatever, 5 or 10 feet or whatever I did. That is the discretion of a tournament director from just a simple oversight. Now, on the other hand out there, if you have a situation where you're intentionally trying to cheat, and we've seen this before about, guys tying fish out and guys making these mastermind plans where there was this one situation, guys, where this one guy had been cheating here in Missouri. He'd been winning a lot of tournaments, and what he was doing is there'd be 2 stumps like this, and he'd take a piece of fishing line, like 20-pound line, and he'd string it between the 2 stumps, and he'd put like a 3 or 4 pound bass, and he'd run it through their gill plate, the line. So this fish was like going back and forth on this line, and he'd throw his crankbait between those stumps and reel it in there. And then when he hit that line, he'd pull it, and that crankbait would slide and snag that fish. And that's how he was cheating. That is a blatant, cheating violation. Almost, it's illegal to do that. So that's another end of the spectrum there. But the main thing with it is, it's like in terms of policing that, it goes back again to the discretion of the tournament director, and everybody just wants, fairness with it. We want to discourage blatant malicious cheating out there. We want to fairly assess some type of a penalty on people that make some type of rule violations. We want to give the tournament directors the freedom to make discretionary calls, because every single situation is different with that. I'll tell you another thing that happened to me. I was fishing a tournament at the Arkansas River. This has been 30 years ago down there. And anyway, I was making a long run, and this was back before it was illegal to put gas cans out on the bank. So I was making a long run where I needed gas. There wasn't any gas where I was going. So I put some gas cans out on the bank, and when I, made my run, I'd go to those gas cans, put them in my boat, put the gas cans back up on the bank, and I came back in. And the Bassmaster Tournament Director, Dewey Kendricks, he found out about that, which there was nothing in the rules that said you couldn't. And Dewey was going to disqualify me. He says, "Randy, you can't put gas cans out on the bank," even though he couldn't really point to a rule that said gas cans. Like, he used some type, I can't remember what it was. There was some gray area within the rules that he said that I'm going to have to disqualify you. And I go, "Dewey, there's nothing in the rules that says that I can't do this." And he says, "Well, it's under this particulars, whatever, this qualifies as not being able to do that." And I said, "That's fine, Dewey." He said, "But what you're going to have to do then is you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to disqualify Hank Parker in 1986, because when he won the Bassmaster Invitational at Truman Lake, he did the same thing." And Dewey got thinking about that. He goes, "Okay, from now on, Randy, don't do that." Now, that was the discretionary call with it. And that the tournament directors need the freedom to do that. But Main thing about it is, guys, we just don't want things to happen out here that gives the sport a black eye. And the sport does not get a black eye when you have an innocent oversight of a rule violation. That doesn't. It happens to everybody. Everybody does it. Everybody gets excited on the water. Everybody does things where they just forget to do something. People should not be penalized to where it could be a career-breaking move if they get that penalty, but the violations that are motivated by malicious intent, those people should be disqualified from tournaments. Not just one, but probably all tournaments, depending upon how malicious the violation is. So anyway, guys, let me know what you all think about it. I'd be curious to get your feedback on it, and we'll talk later, and thanks for tuning in.